I have 5:15. We shall call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We shall have roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Mailer?
Yes.
Dodson?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. Well, greetings, everyone. Once again, we shall start our meeting with Mayor Waller's quote for the day. I selected this particular quote from Phil Jackson. If you don't know who Phil Jackson is, he was a 13-time NBA champion, 2 as a player and 11 as a coach. The strength of the team is in each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. And I guess with that, I want to thank all of my fellow members of the City Council for your efforts over this past year. We are, of course, the team. May you and your families have a great holiday season. Okay, we shall move on to approval of tonight's agenda. We have a couple of, we have 2 people that would like to speak under citizens' comments. We'll add those names now, Mary Elizabeth Bazanson and Jim Stoker. And then I'll bring it over to the council if there's any other additions or corrections that they would like to entertain. Now would be a good time, otherwise I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have no public hearings tonight, so we will move on to our reading and approval of our December 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
I will move approval of the December 9th regular meeting minutes.
I will second.
Thank you. All right. If there's no other discussion on that, we have a motion and a second to approve our December 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we have our condensed version of those same minutes from December 9th, 2025.
I will move approval of the condensed minutes from our December 9 meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the December 9th, 2025 condensed version of our minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next before us is our consent agenda, which tonight consists of our audit of city bills, the City of Morris Park Board meeting minutes, and item C, the Morris Public Library Board meeting minutes from November 12th, 2025. And I guess I can move approval of the items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. I will bring it back to the city council now for any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda. Hearing no discussion. Done there? Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. I'll just ask for a voice vote on that, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have, next up will be our petitions, requests, and communications. First item is a 2025 donation list. And that was from various businesses and organizations, I believe, right? Yeah.
Are
More
those
stuff.
items already been spent, or like, is that, like for the fly-in, is that for next year's fly-in or for this year's fly-in?
That was just part of our year-end process to make sure all donations had been accepted by you guys, so
Oh,
we
okay.
kind of just needed making sure everything is up to
Okay.
speed, that anything donated for 25.
I'll move approval of accepting the donations for 2025 of $993.45.
I will second that.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the people that donated money to that, it's much appreciated. I'll just ask for a voice vote on those donations, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we have, our first reading of ordinance number 130, that's, an ordinance amending the city charter. And I guess I can ask Blaine, maybe you wanted to speak to
Yeah,
this
so this
briefly?
is the end result of the activity that the Charter Commission had. They finished their work in their last meeting, and I think they're gonna meet again in April, they're gonna be their next meeting time. And so, what they did was they came up with 2 recommendations for charter changes. And this is an ordinance that would put that on the table. And then part of this recommendation is to set a public hearing, second reading of the ordinance and a public hearing for January 27th at 5:20 p.m. So we'll have a public hearing right away at the beginning of the meeting. And basically there's 2 changes, and they're just minor changes. There's one of the changes is a change in the wording that talks about the Minnesota department, where in the current charter, it states the State Department, which is not Minnesota's department. So it's more or less a typo. And the second one changes the timing for calling a special meeting of the city council, changing it from 12 hours to 24-hour notice, and then also adding that we would use our social media platforms as a means of also getting that word out. So what we're looking for is a motion to allow the first reading of the ordinance and to set the second reading and public hearing for the January 27th council meeting.
I will move on the first reading of ordinance number 130, an ordinance amending the city charter and setting the second reading and the public hearing for January 27th.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of ordinance number 130, an ordinance amending the city charter. I'll just ask for a voice vote on that if there's no further discussion. By any members of the council? No? All right, I'll just ask for a voice vote on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we can move on to tonight's ordinances and resolutions. We have a few of them here. The first resolution before us is a resolution approving the Minnesota paid leave for the city of Morris. And I'll just bring it over to Blaine if he can.
Yeah, so this, I think everybody's pretty much aware of what's going on in Minnesota. The state of Minnesota passed a law requiring that employers provide, it's actually 2 different kinds of leaves, 12 weeks of medical leave and up to 12 weeks of family leave. And that cities have to have policies in place to deal with it. So cities had to give notice to their employees, which we did, and I believe all the employees signed off that they received notice of that. Part of this is there is a state tax that's implemented for bigger employers. It's 0.88% state tax that's collected and then remitted to the state, and that's how they're gonna pay for this leave that the employees get. City of Morris chose to split that 50-50 with the employees, which is, from what I can see, pretty much what most of the cities are doing, is splitting it 50-50. So every employee winds up paying 0.44% as a tax on their paychecks, and then that money is put together with the city's money, employer money, and then sent into the state of Minnesota. And this policy really talks about, you know, how this all works, because employees are gonna have to give notice to the employer that they're gonna be applying for this leave. I think it's gonna be a major confusion when it starts taking place, because, you know, one of the things that came up when looking at this, firefighters are included in this. So, but firefighters typically work for us part-time, you know, and they work for another employer full-time. And so if you're gonna take leave from us, are you taking leave from other? So there's a lot of coordination that's gonna take place with that. Plus the fact that there is family and a different policy that deals with leaves that has to be coordinated. So you could be using the state leave. It might be coordinated with the family medical leave that some employees have already used. In some cases, if you had a baby in 2025, you can already apply for the leave, because it's supposed to start January 1st, but that was one of the cases that they're allowing people to apply. So it's basically gonna be a coordination thing, you know, and what we've decided to do is in this policy, you're not gonna get 100% of what your check is if you go on leave. We require that you're gonna take at least a day, so it's not gonna be hourly, and then at the same time, whatever, in order to make up to 100%, you can use your sick leave first, and then use some of your other leaves to make up for that. So this is all laid out in the policy that the city has, but you do have to have a policy in place, and this is the one that was drawn up. It was drawn up through a process of taking what the sample was from the state of Minnesota, looking at other, Maggie did a very good job of looking at other policies from other cities, and then putting together the one that we have, and I think you got a chance to look that over too. So this is a requirement by the state of Minnesota that we have this policy in place, and it'll get started pretty quick.
Will an employee earn their leave or vacation or pay on the time that they're on this or not? If, say, your years of service or your credit for any of the...
It's not gonna affect, it's not really, there is a clause in here that talks about, if you're on leave and what happens, your seniority is gonna remain in place, you're gonna continue to, you know, accrue the vacation and things like that you normally do. I believe if, and I did not, you know, I came into this late, but I think it might be prorated based upon the leave that you're taking with the state of Minnesota, but at the same time, it's all just required. Let me just see if,
Yep, it's prorated.
excuse me,
It's prorated.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's prorated.
Thank
So-
you.
All right, any further discussion on that resolution?
I will move on the resolution approving the Minnesota paid leave policy for the city of Morris.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion before we put it to a vote? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote in that resolution, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Barsalobi,
Yes.
Florell,
Yes.
Littleton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Walters.
Yes. Next resolution before us is a resolution approving a cooperative agreement with the DNR for shoreline structures. And again, I'll bring it back over to Blaine.
Yeah, so you might know a little bit more about this, or maybe you don't. Because when I got this, I actually got an email from the state of Minnesota wondering where the two agreements were. One was the agreement for the Chrissy Dam project, and the other one was for this cooperative agreement for shoreland structures. And when I got a hold of the person, it's like, what are you talking about for the dam, you know? And then they realized that we don't have an agreement on the dam. It's with the Pomme de Terre River Association. They're the ones that are working with the state on that. What this agreement is once that project is done, you're gonna wind up, and you guys probably know this, you're gonna wind up with more shoreland. And then what the state of Minnesota is gonna do through the DNR is they are gonna provide funding through the DNR, who's gonna do these things, to put in structures. Could be as simple as some flat rocks that people could sit on to fish. Could be a little kayak landing, you know, that people could put kayaks into, or maybe a fishing area and stuff like that. They will take care of all of that. What they want us to do is to do kind of the routine maintenance that we've been doing in the park. If you know the history of this used to be a state park, and then they turned it over to the city for a city park, and as long as it remains a park, then we get to continue using that land the way it's used. And so if, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to send you the interactive map. You do have a map that's in here. It's kind of hard to see because it's in black and white, but they do have designated spots where they're looking at doing certain things like little fishing areas and stuff like that. So what they want us to do is to work with them. So it's just, as it says, it's a cooperative agreement that we will work with the DNR. They'll work with us when the time comes for them to put in the structures. And then we will work with them to help maintain those things. And that's gonna be more routine maintenance, not replacement and things like that. And then there's a couple other minor things like they would like to see some handicap parking signs in the parking lot down by the dam where we have the dog park, and those are all things that we could certainly take care of pretty easy. And then we might decide that there's other things that we want to do there, you know, to kind of connect up with this property. It's going to be very interesting to see how much land is created and how it's all set up and how the river flows through there and how people interact with it and things like that. But that's what this agreement is. It's just an agreement so they can really get started working on the things that they want to do with their funding that they have, working with the
And
city.
they felt real confident that there was gonna be maybe some additional funding coming down as this thing progresses
Yep.
too, that might allow us to do some
It's
of
gonna
those
be
improvements.
interesting. Those of us that grew up here, we spent a lot of time out there when we were little kids, and it's gonna be interesting to see what the changes are gonna look like with that whole area out there. I think it's gonna be positive once it's all said and done. And just so you know, it is a kind of a hard concept to understand that you're gonna take out a dam. But when I was in Breckenridge, there's actually two dams that got taken out, one by the water treatment plant down off the main highway, and another one out by a smaller little lake area just to the west of Breckenridge. And then they put in these rock structures, and they work very well. See a lot of people fishing there and stuff like that, just going out in the rocks and sitting there. But it's not an uncommon thing that they're doing, because these dams are old, and the last thing you want to have happen is one fail, and then you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do after that.
Well, and I know we've all sat through quite a few meetings, I know I have personally too, and, as a fisherman myself, it's gonna allow for more migration of fish, the fish, and I think from a fishing standpoint, it's gonna be nothing but a positive thing. We all know what Pomme de Terre has become, it's just a silt, mucky mess out there, and I think 5, 10 years down the road, I think we're gonna be amazed at what that looks like.
Well, at some of the meetings, they did state that it will be prone to some flooding when we get some heavy rains, that it's still gonna be shallow, and if we get heavy rains, it's gonna build up some, not as probably as much as when it was dammed, you know, the rocks probably aren't gonna hold back as much, but just keeping that in mind, that
Yep.
it's gonna improve it, I believe, yeah.
All right, any further discussion on that resolution?
Do we get a say of what they're going to be putting in, or they're just gonna decide to,
No, I think they're gonna come and work with us,
okay?
because they're gonna want us to kind of understand what's happening, you know, and like I mentioned, that, you know, there's people that kayak on the river, and I'm not sure where they put in, and I know on the other side of the river, when you have the bike path that comes up to the river, well, that's gonna be out a little bit farther, I think, in that area, and so they might come in and clean that up a little bit and put some kind of a structure there, you know, so people can go out there and fish and things like that on the west side of the river, as opposed to just down in the park itself.
They've already started some of this work on Upper Palm.
Yeah.
Have you been up there and looked at that at all?
Perkins Lake you're referring to?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Perkins.
confusing with Upper
Yeah.
Palm, Elbow Lake, and
Yeah.
what we call Palm, which
Yeah.
is Perkins.
But yeah.
But
we're
yes,
just
they've been
north of
out
town.
there talking to people and saying with the rock placement and this rock, no, they said very selective on the rocks when
Yep.
they were doing the work, that it was pretty mind-boggling, but
Yep. All right, any further discussion?
I will move a resolution approving the cooperative agreement with the DNR for the shoreline structure improvement on the Chrissy Lake Dam area out there.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no further discussion, I will ask for a roll call vote on that resolution, please, Caroline.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Golson,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Bowe,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. All right, next resolution before us is a resolution authorizing an increase in the annual benefit amount for our firefighters.
Yeah, this one kind of came in late. When I was talking to Rebecca about the budget, there was no indication that there was a request from the Relief Association, but it did come in. I had a chance to talk with Corey from the Relief Association. They're asking that their annual benefit amount be raised from $2,550 per year of service to $2,700. And really the way this works is, in order for us to take a look at this, we want to at least have a good understanding that they have the funds available to be able to pay this. And I can tell you, anybody that's looking at what's going on with the stock market right now, from the last time I was here as city manager, you know, the amount of funds that they have in their relief association compared to now. They do have the funds to be able to do this without any contribution by the city, you know, and that's one of the things that we always wanted to look at is, if you're gonna raise your benefit up, is it gonna require that the city put a contribution in? I've always had the philosophy that, you know, you look at that benefit, you try to figure out what a good fair benefit is for the firefighters, and then if it does require a little bit of input from the city, that's the process that's used to do that. As opposed to just throwing money into their relief association and letting them kind of figure out what to do with it. In this case, you know, they're asking for $150 a year, and it's not gonna require any contribution by the city. And, you know, the idea that, you know, they do invest heavy in the stock market is one of the things that they're aware of. It's one of the things that we're aware of. And we'll continue to look at that. And this is an annual thing that happens. I think last year they made a bigger they might have made a bigger jump too. I wasn't here, but, or the year before.
Similar to what this year's is.
Yeah, so that's what they're asking for. I'm recommending that the city council go ahead and approve it. And, we shouldn't have to worry about them having the funds to pay it.
And if they do dip below with their investments, the city is required to pay a 10% of whatever.
Yeah,
that
it's not all
shortfall
at
is.
once.
It's gives you some time for
Yep.
it to correct itself. And, it's taken care of by their investments, like you said, and then the state fire aid check that the city receives back from the insurance companies on the insurance premiums paid by business.
Yeah, and that's a-
businesses in their territory that they serve.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So where did they get the money from in the first place? Everybody that pays taxes or insurance. There's a portion of that goes to state fire aid. And so the fire relief will get a check. I think this year it was around $60,000. They take that money, they invest it, and then as people retire, then they'll pay them out for their years of service. But through investing that money, they have enough money to be able to pay that out. And they do study, how many firemen they have, how many years of service they have, what's the liability of it, how much money do they have on hand. That's how they make that determination that there is a state report that's required that they fill out and they give to us to let us know where they're at with that. So everybody kind of knows and understands what the process is.
An
So-
actual audit is done
Yes.
annually on them, yes. Hearing that, I will move approval of that resolution authorizing an increase of the annual benefit for the Morris Fire Department from $2,550 per year of service to $2,700 per year of service, effective January 1 of 2026.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's a nice little extra benefit and incentive for people to hang around, and we appreciate all the work that our firefighters do for us.
Well, and we have a good department. We're very fortunate
Yes.
that they keep finding more young people to come in and serve as firefighters.
For sure. All right, we have a motion and a second approving the resolution authorizing an increase in the annual benefit amount for our firefighters. And I'll ask for a roll call vote on that resolution, please. Carolina?
Councilmember Gollison,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Solby,
Yes.
Correll,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. All right, next resolution before us is a resolution approving a contract with the UMVRDC for the preparation of a comprehensive plan update. And I guess, I can open it up to the council for discussion. Maybe Blaine, you wanna go first?
Yeah,
on
I'll go
You
ahead
can
and get
take the lead
started,
on that.
because this,
Yeah.
and you might know more about it than I do, because I think this was maybe talked about during the work session, budget work session, maybe.
Yep.
But it is in the budget to do a comprehensive plan update. The current comprehensive plan we have is right here. It's dated January 12th, 1999. And I know from time to time, the planning commission will take a look in there and just see what's in there. And actually, surprisingly, what's in there didn't raise too many red flags. But then it's my understanding that the planning commission talked about it's time to do an update to the comprehensive plan. I'm not sure who did this one. If it was, because it does reference previous company that did the one before in 86 or something like that. But this proposal here is from the Upper Minnesota Valley Regional Development Commission. They are a regional development authority that does this kind of stuff. West Central Initiative Fund does not do this kind of work. And they do work with cities, and we're not necessarily part of their region, but I know and understand who they are because I've actually participated in some of the meetings at the University of Minnesota Morris, where we talked with representatives from there and the Initiative Fund and other places. And really, one of the big things is doing kind of rural outreach to be able to provide services to communities like us that need these kind of things done. And I know Rebecca looked at, you know, who could do this work for us. This is the recommendation she came up with. She put money in the budget to do this work with them, and as you can see in the information I provided to you, there's money for doing the comprehensive plan. There's money for having community forums, where you gather people to talk about what they're interested in doing, and the recommendation is that we go ahead and get started with this. There is information in there that really speaks to, you know, what they do in a comprehensive plan. And I just tabbed one spot here where it talks about elements typically include land use zoning, housing, public infrastructure, facilities, services, transportation, economic development, parks, recreation, natural resources, community, vitality. So they're gonna come in and they're gonna work with us to try to figure out what it is people want moving forward. And they'll come up with a comprehensive plan, and the planning commission will be able to use that as they're going through and doing their work. And the timing on this is, takes a while. So if you look at the timing on this, they want to get started in the beginning of 2026, and they'll probably conclude all their work with the completed plan in 2027. So it's not like they come in and spend a few weeks and then write you a document and then leave. You know, this takes a while to try to collect all the things that you need. And that's a recommendation. City Council passed a resolution accepting their proposal and authorizing us to enter into an agreement with them to get them started on the work.
I had never heard of the Upper Midwest Minnesota Valley Regional Development Commission prior to this, really, but I did a little investigating and looked them up, and it looks like their service area, they cover 5-county area here: Big Stone, Swift, Chippewa, Lac-qui-Parle, and Yellow Medicine. And it looks like they're based at Appleton, if I'm not mistaken. They have an office in Appleton. So they've been in business since 2013, about 12 years, let's say. So we're talking about a $56,500 or thereabouts, right, for the comprehensive
Right.
development plan.
And then there's some direct costs that you'll wind up paying.
Do you know, has anybody vetted some of their work? I mean, have we contacted any other cities at all? The Planning Commission's Act, did they,
No.
anybody talk about that at all, or no?
No, the planning commission though, part of the discussion with this, why we need a new one is, started with park and playground, right? How the comprehensive plan's out of date from, 26 years, almost 27 years old at this point. But then with some of the zoning and things that they've been seeing, as far as development specifically, and something that we've talked about is what does economic growth look like? Where, if a business wants to come to town, where does that go? So that's really what's been driving this, but no, they have not. They have not.
On their website, they show different, projects and things that they've worked on, and what I seen looks pretty impressive, I guess, to that end. I suppose we'd be the farthest north county then of their service area. Most of it's from here south.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're probably not, I mean, they reach out beyond their normal territory that they're in, and that, it kind of works that way too. I think the initiative fund probably does that too. Depends on where you're at and what you need. The University of Minnesota Morris does a really good job of utilizing its resources to reach out to small communities, and that's really the group that I participated in with, where they're trying to reach out to small communities and provide things like interns to go in and help them with projects, or to do special projects and things like that. But I know Madison was one of the cities that they highlighted some photographs and stuff with group work that they did. But,
Do you think it would be beneficial to have one of the representatives come out here and talk to us or not, or what's the comfort level of the council in going ahead with something like this based on the information that we have? I mean, 56,000, it seems like a lot of money to me, but maybe when it comes to development planning like that, it's maybe where that's at, I don't know. I'm just wondering what the council thinks.
I think if you wanted something like that, I think that should go in front of the planning commission. I mean, this is where it's kind of originating from, that they want more of a comprehensive plan to follow. I mean, if they're
Updated to the.
updated,
Yeah,
if they're, I believe if they're feeling comfortable, if that's being portrayed to us or they're giving this recommendation, I'd be okay with it. If they felt that they wanted to, get some more information about it, I would rely on what they would pass to us as,
I guess my question on it is, and I assume this is the case, but we went out for bid. Got a couple of bids back on writing a
I
comprehensive
doubt we
plan.
bidded it. It's probably not a requirement that we bid it. Yeah, I think Rebecca went out and got proposals, tried to find proposals, cause
Sure,
I believe she talked to the West Central Initiative Fund, who's our regional development
correct.
group, and we actually have members, a member of the city council sits on that commission, but, they don't do that kind of work. So then it's like, where do you go to find somebody that does this kind of work? I think part of it is she probably worked with that development group, because when she was down in Canby, Canby's part of that territory. And that's probably where a comfort level was for her, knowing and understanding who all these people are. I've worked with these people before. I mean, they're good people, I think it's a matter of, if you want to do a comprehensive plan, who's going to do it for you? There's nobody internally that can do a comprehensive plan process. You can go out and hire probably professional companies that do that kind of work, and maybe go through a process of trying to find proposals to do it. But this is a group that's right here that does this kind of work, and like I said, I think Madison just did it. You know, one of the things we could do is reach out to Madison and find out what their comfort was with them doing a comprehensive plan for them.
Is there a time constraint with this? I mean, is this something that is the planning commission, are they something they want us to move on sooner than later, Zach, or what?
I mean, yeah, but at the same point, if we were to say, hey, we just wanna have a conversation with a couple other communities that have done this in the past, just to get their feeling of the UMVRDC,
Yes.
I don't think that would be,
Well, and that's really, I don't think it's too much to ask. I mean, we're spending $50-some thousand. I guess I would like to feel pretty comfortable in that decision, you know, before we move forward, because it is a lot of money, I think, in my view. And just as long as there's nothing that we're kind of up against the wall on here, maybe we just.
no, it's not a firm start date, other than,
Well, the
We have
last
to-
one was done in
99,
'99, so.
It's
Yeah.
time, yeah, it needs to be
yes,
updated.
yes,
We have somebody in our backyard that's
Yes.
25, 30 miles from us.
Good point.
I have no problem to table it, just to reach out and touch with, like you say, Madison or some others that have worked with them. But I think it's something that we need to do. You're not gonna find somebody that's more local. Blaine said with the university, he's dealt with them.
Yeah.
So I think it all looks good, but I have no problem to table it until next month to deal with it and just get some feedback.
Well, we
Who's
must
gonna
have
look into it?
communications people that come out too and talk and make presentations on, because they're selling us a product, right? And that's, at the end of the day, that,
So you want somebody from there to come
I
and speak?
wouldn't mind having somebody come out here.
Yeah,
and
so what
talk
I
to
can
us.
do is I can reach out and talk to, for sure, Madison, because I know the city administrator there, and then I think, you know, maybe they need to come here and talk to us
Yeah.
about what they're planning on doing, and
but I think for money-wise, I mean, you know, the scope of the project's a year and a half.
Right.
I mean, you know, you got $56,000, you put a person on it for a year and a half, that's not gonna cover it.
Right.
I don't
And
think
that's
it's a
bringing
lot- I
us
don't
just-
think it's a lot
You
of
know,
money.
if you're
for a
just, if you're talking
comprehensive
about
plan.
just
Well,
putting
there
one
are ins-
person
Yeah.
do your comprehensive plan, even if it takes them a year, even if it takes them 3/4 of a year.
Well,
you're still
they
gonna pay
state that there
more.
are gonna be additional costs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
Exactly.
right. So I mean, I'm not so
Right.
concerned, you know, I think that scope of the money and that scope of the plan fits well. If you're not, I mean, I'm okay with wanting to hear from them to make sure we got the right group or whatever, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I brought it up to you because I wasn't part of putting it in the budget. So I'm
Right.
assuming that there's some work that was done to get that ready to go in the budget, and we did approve it
Well,
in
we
the
did
budget.
talk about in our work session.
But at the same
was-
time, you know, a lot of this is gonna be data collection.
Yeah.
So they have people that will specialize in data collection because they're gonna do some survey work, and then you gotta look at the economics of what's going on in this. You know, ironically, if you go into the comprehensive plan from '99, they talked about the ag industry probably not being in very good shape, and potentially what's the city gonna do to diversify? So if you think about where we're at right now, the ag industry is in very good shape. And so then you would wanna take a look at that kind of information and kind of roll it into a comprehensive plan that you have for today moving forward. But I can reach out and then do some checking and stuff, and that's a good way of doing it.
I think so.
But it lists in here also that it's 45,000 for the comprehensive plan and estimating 11,500 for the community forum for the direct expenses involved with postage, materials, food, advertisements. So 20% of that is dealing with some of the meetings, the things happening
Right.
to get the information from the community also, so.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think it's,
Yeah.
it's obviously.
So you could just do a motion to table it.
All right.
I will move a motion to table this until next month, get some more information.
No second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to table the resolution approving a contract with the UMVRDC for the comprehensive plan until next month. And I guess we can have a roll call vote on that.
Councilmember Corrales,
Yes.
Solby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Gullikson,
Yes.
Mayor Walsh.
Yes. All right, good discussion, thank you. Last resolution is a resolution appointing officers of the Morris Fire Department for 2026.
Yeah, so you have a resolution, it's got the officers in there, it's one of the things that they do is they have the city council approve their officers for the upcoming year. Good group of firefighters.
I will move on the resolution appointing the officers of the Morris Fire Department for 2026 and also thank them for their service.
I will second. Sorry, step on your toes.
All right, thank you. And I agree. Fine group, for sure. All right, we have a motion and a second approving the appointing, or resolution appointing the officers of the Morris Fire Department for 2026. And once again, we'll have a roll call vote on that resolution. Please, Carolina.
Councilmember Solby,
Yes.
Corrales,
Yes.
Gullikson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Walsh.
Yes. All right, now we can move on to our acting city manager's newsletter.
Yeah, I'll just touch on three things and then answer any questions you might have. One is 2024, January, you guys did a board and commission policy. And I started looking at it only because of the fact that there was discussion internally about term limits for board members. And I think the understanding was maybe from staff that there were term limits, that you could do 2 terms. And as I started looking at it, it didn't look like that's what you decided to do in the board and commission policy. And at the same time, when I looked at the information in the board and commission policy packet, it was quite obvious to me that there's a disconnect, because you have a charter, you have city code that establishes boards and commissions, and sets their terms and sets their membership, and it's all right there in city code. And then what was in there were bylaws for the boards and commissions, and in certain cases, the bylaws did not match what the board and commission city code is. And so there's a disconnect. And then when it comes to the library has state statutes that outline exactly what their makeup is for the library board. Our city code really mirrors the state statute for that. But what I'm doing is I'm putting it all together into one package so it's clear to understand what we have now and then really what you want, because I think there's some understanding. I know that there was in the policy that you can only be on one board, which is, I would favor that. There's also some discussion about term limits. I'm not sure I would favor term limits, but that's a discussion that you maybe can have and decide what you want to do. But what we should do is we should standardize the terms on the boards. And I have a recommendation for that. I'll give that to you. In some cases, like the library, you have no choice because it's right in state statute. This is the membership. This is what the term is of members. And then the other thing that is important to understand with that policy, because I think that policy can be the guidance to all the board members that come on. This is the way it works on the board. And I think that's what the purpose of the bylaws were going to be, is how do you operate as a board or a commission? You know, and this is your operational kind of instructions. But we appointed somebody to the library board at the last meeting that cannot be on the library board. So that person cannot be on the because they don't actually live in Stevens County. But 2 library board members can be outside the city limits as long as they're in Stevens County. And that's probably the only board, because one of the things you wanted to do was to limit membership to people within the community, which is a good idea because these are city boards. So I'm gonna try to roll all that up and then put it in the right place. And then in the end, what it's gonna require is you pass your policy, and then we do an ordinance to change those portions of the city code where the board and commissions are laid out to, if we're gonna change the terms to 3 years, make them 3 years. Tree board, the term on the tree board is 1 year, according to the city code. They are appointed, 5 members appointed annually, is the way it reads. And I went back and forth a couple times with Sue Granger, because she thought it was 4, and then she thought it was 3, but it should be 3. And we should just put it into the city code that way, and you do that by doing an ordinance. So that is something that I looked at, and again, the only reason I looked at it is because there was an understanding that maybe there was term limits for board members, and I don't know that's the case of what you want. Airport arrival departure building, we went out and met with them because there's a grant going in now. We have a design grant. They're looking at design of that building, and now they're going to submit the grant to build the building. And so we're hoping that we're going to get funding to be able to build that building out there, and that should be determined sometime in the next few months. The grants have to be, applications have to be in by January sometime, so we are working on that. And then the last thing I'll just touch on is we have engineers working on 2 special assessment projects. One on the west side of town, one on the east side of town. I'm gonna cancel both of them. And the reason I'm gonna cancel both of them, and they don't know this yet, the engineers, is we are sitting in December at the end of the month, and normally we would have had our plans and specs drawn up, and we would have been getting authorization from the city council to bid out the projects for the spring start, and we don't even have projects laid out. And I can also tell you that if you look at the proposed special assessments that are coming out of these projects, it's a nightmare. And I don't know what happened before, but the timing is way off, because normally we'd have our special assessment hearings in October, and then we would present to the people, this is what we're talking about doing, this is what it's gonna cost you as a property owner. But you can't do that in January and then try to do plans and specs and bid things out. And it's way off, the timing's way off on it. And so I talked to the utility guys, and there is no urgent need to do underground work on these projects this next year. And at the same time, I think we're gonna have to split them up and try to make them more manageable. So that's just something that I'm dealing with, and I'll meet with the engineers and talk to them about it. But it is, we should be bidding, and we don't even have a project laid out yet that we can understand. So that's all I have. If you got any questions about any of the other stuff, been kind of busy working on some of these things that have come up.
Do you think we lost a little bit of momentum there in the switch that might have contributed to why it's delayed? I'm not sure.
My personal opinion, yes. I don't know why that took place. I wasn't here and I wasn't, part of that discussion, but they're two different engineering firms. They have two different ways of doing business, and the one company that we were working with knew and understand exactly how we did business in the past, and knew and understand almost everything that had been done because they'd been working on our stuff forever. But at the same time, I've always said as a city manager, consultants are like doctors. You have to be comfortable with the ones that you're working with. And I did switch a couple engineers myself. We went to a different one for water, wastewater. And actually we have a different one now for the airport, because we went to, got away from TKDA. But you have to be comfortable with the people you're working with, and so then I can understand how you would maybe make a change. But at the same time, these processes are, well, and the other thing we did not do is we did not do an appraisal. So one of the things I always did on special assessments is we had a professional appraisal company out of the Twin Cities that would come down and do a pre-construction appraisal of your property generally in the area, and a post-construction appraisal, so that you could tell people what is the value of the infrastructure that we're putting in for you. In some cases, it's kind of easy to understand. If you don't have water and sewer, your property's not worth anything. It really isn't. And in some cases, it needs to be replaced. But at the same time, that's part of the special assessment process, is you have to show value. And if somebody wants to challenge it, you have to go to court and you have to show them value. And so that's one of the things that we could do moving forward, is having an appraiser come in and appraise out the projects. But I really think we should sit down and kind of reorganize the project areas that we're looking at. East Fifth Street's probably the most important right now, because of some of the work that is going on there, and some of the things that we have happening with sewer. It's also the hardest because there's only houses on one side of it.
Well, yeah, too, we have, we have to have plenty of time to see what the assessments are gonna be.
Right.
We gotta make sure that that's keeping up with the value added to the property. Or
Right.
we're gonna be fighting that, and that's gonna cost us a lot more money if we can't get that to work out. So,
Yep.
I agree with you 100%. We're too far behind we should be in that process now. We should know that before. You really need to know that value before you can even move into the project to see if it's even feasible that you
Right.
can get your special assessments done.
Right.
You can't come in and say, I'm gonna special assess everybody on Fifth Street $50,000 a plate. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's
You
not
can't,
gonna work.
it's not gonna work. It's gonna fall back onto the city. So, I agree with you there.
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest dilemmas that I was dealing with when I came in, is trying to figure out what was going on with these. And I did talk to the old engineers and the new engineers to kind of find out what was happening with this, but it is what it is.
Do our new engineers work a lot with special assessments, or is this probably, I mean, I don't know that a lot of the cities.
Yeah, I
do
think
that.
so, but cities are all different.
Yeah,
For instance, Madison. You know, I had two brothers living in Madison. They did a major reconstruction of water and sewer, and they assessed everybody in town for that project, everybody in town. And I told my brother I would have appealed that and I would have won in court because I had nothing done in front of my house. And I had to pay a special assessment
right.
for the work that was done in front of somebody else's house. So some cities, Benson's a good example, I went and met with the Benson City Council because they don't do special assessments. So they try to fund all the utilities themselves, but they own an electric company.
Yes.
So it's a little bit easier when you own an electric company to find some funds to be able to put into utilities. Breckenridge was like that, they own their own electric company.
Doesn't Madison too, though?
Madison,
Is it
yeah, Madison might be
I was gonna
too.
say, don't they own their own utilities?
You know, so everybody's different, you know, and that could be part of it,
Right.
but
Your monthly rates also are gonna be more than likely higher. If
Right,
you don't have
yeah.
the assessment, you're gonna pay for it one way or the other. But just keeping that in mind when you look at, and that was part of our problem because our rates were so low, we couldn't get financial help for a lot of our projects over the past years. But then when you turn around and look at that, we assess normally for the improvements to the property owners that get the benefit is what's helped keep our rates lower
Right,
than
yeah.
some of our neighboring communities.
yeah, and we've been very successful with doing special assessments, you know, but you do it by trying to do it the smartest way you can and trying to figure out, you know, how to lessen the cost to the property owners.
Right.
All right. Any questions on the city manager's newsletter? Hearing none, I shall we shall move on to our mayor and city council board updates. If anybody has any updates that they would like to share, now would be a good time.
I just, the library board, as was mentioned, had two people that were, I think you approved at the last meeting to be on there, and both of them live outside of Stevens County, so they are 2 board members short. I think the minutes you had Janelle and Mike, right?
Reese?
Yeah.
So that board can have people on it that are actually out of city limits?
Out of two,
Out of Stevens too, so they
Correct.
can.
according to state
I mean,
statute.
no, the state statute overrules that, so
Yeah,
that's why it
because
has to be in that county that the library's in.
Yeah, they have,
It's
they have
not really a
special.
county library, it's a city library.
Well,
isn't
it's a
it?
municipal library, but it services a bigger area than just the city. You know, and they actually receive some funding from the county and then they're part of a regional library system, you know, which is part of what they look at. But yeah, in the rules, it states there's 9 members and 2 of them can be outside the city limits.
Outside the city limits, but what did you say about the county?
Within the county.
Within the
limit.
county,
Within the
these people
county.
are out
Yeah.
of county
Yeah,
as
Okay.
well.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
out of Stevens County, they were.
so
out of
I would have
Stevens
never guessed that, because I know Mike used to live in town,
Mhm.
but I think he moved out to
So
the
he
farm.
can't be on then, is what you're
Right.
saying? Okay, so we'll have to find another one, so we have 1 vacancy then.
Well,
two.
two.
The other-
2, actually, both?
Two.
Yeah, the other,
Okay.
yeah, and I don't know where the other gal lived.
She lives Cyrus.
Cyrus, I heard, yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
so that's
Hope
Hope
County,
County.
yep.
All right, so we have 2 vacancies yet then to fill, all right.
But that reiterates the need to align. And
Yeah.
That's where this went with, and then
Right.
it probably just was never.
I
quite
think it was a great
completed.
idea, we just have to
Align
make sure
everybody,
everything
boards
is
and
in there.
commissions, Yep.
And then we'll come back to you and say, what do you want? You know, this is,
And then the other thing discussed at the airport board meeting was, the architect wondered if we had like our own Morris, you know.
Oh, yeah.
To design the building, like, do we have something that, and then he mentioned the liquor store.
like a standard look.
A standard look, and I don't know, I've never seen plans for the liquor store, so I don't know what, but they were thinking if that's the kind of, if you wanna do the same type of look, as that other, you know, if that would be, which kinda leads to that, oh yeah, an identity of what is the Morris look.
Yeah, I don't know that the park buildings, like the new concession stand, you know, are in a strict kinda, you know, if you go out to the university, the buildings are all, you know, done in a certain style.
Yeah, it's kind of a
So
cool
they fit
idea
in.
when you brought it up, and I can't
Yeah.
remember, it was, way up north, Two Harbors
Yeah,
had done
one of those
that.
cities did that.
Yep, that, they have a look, which I think is that lighthouse, but, so they had done their airport to, so, I don't know, it was just an interesting comment that he brought up, so, but maybe that would be something to look at, what the design of the liquor store is gonna look like. And is that a specific look, or is it just generic, or?
If you connect them with each other, it's Ringdahl Architects is who's doing the liquor store, they did the design,
Okay.
and then I don't know who the airport one is, but if you connect them together and,
But, I mean, it was just something that I thought was kind of cool. And he, yeah, they did provide some nice looks. Interesting.
Dealing at airport, going by there, I see there's a refueling truck sitting out by one of the hangars. Did we purchase a refueling truck?
No, I don't, not yet.
Or is
I don't
that
think.
somebody else?
We signed the agreements, I think.
I thought the
or
pricing,
46, right?
the pricing was quite a bit more than what we had monies to do something with, I thought the last I'd heard. But just going out west, I saw one sitting outside of one of the hangars.
It was sitting there at our last meeting, at the meeting too, kind of tucked off in the side. Wasn't sure.
Yeah, I don't know, that must be Riverview, or somebody's got one
Yeah.
sitting there to help fuel.
Okay, just curious if we had come to terms with some of our major users
No,
to
not
come
yet.
up with the difference, or we're still working on that to spend our state money to do that improvement? Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other business, any more updates before we move on? Hearing none, we shall move on to the citizens' comments portion of our meeting, and we have two individuals that would like to address the council. Mary Elizabeth, you're certainly welcome to come on up.
I want to apologize for my tardiness in this comment. I'm not as stalwart as the rest of you. In the last two meetings, the weather was so terrifying that I just stayed home. So I wanted to thank Blaine, because when the first snow fell, Blaine sent me an email explaining that the city had gone out to look at the sidewalks and had alerted people of the need to clear their sidewalks. So I really appreciated that. And now they're full of ice. And I appreciate that my sidewalk isn't, but I have noticed that a lot of people's sidewalks, whole blocks worth of people, have only ice. And the consequence of that is that pedestrians are now walking in the street, which frightens me. And I didn't know if there was a way that the city could communicate to homeowners the importance of continuing to clear the ends of sidewalks as they meet the street. Because if you notice, a lot of them have snow built up and you can see people's footprints. And kids' feet are in those places. And if they fell into the street when the school bus was coming, see, this is why I don't sleep. So I was hoping that, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to convince people that you don't just get to shovel once, that you have to keep up with this. The other thing I wanted to say is that several have suggested that the solution to community comments is just to tell Blaine. If there's a problem in your life, tell Blaine. I have a list. I haven't told Blaine yet. I'm not going to do that. And there are two reasons. One, this is a public hearing. So I'm telling people in public because I'm hoping that Olivia will tell people in the press, and so other people who might have difficulties will contact the city, because then they'll have permission to do so. And besides, if I had just told Blaine, thank you, none of you would have known.
Thank you. And Jim, the floor is yours.
First of all, I'd like to thank each of you for your service, wish you very happy holidays and a very prosperous new year. Secondly, I wanted to address the issue of the comprehensive plan. I think it's very important, great idea that we update it. I do believe, having read through both the state law defining what that plan is, and it's very carefully defined in state law, and part of the state law, the state Minnesota ordinances, statutes that deal with that, are very clear that it's the city that's supposed to be preparing that plan. And I would like to encourage the city, whoever does the work, that the city must be heavily involved in it. Secondly, that plan has to be coordinated both with the county plan and with the RDC plan. That is the plan from West Central Initiative. And you're on the board of the West Central Initiative RDC, so they're the ones who have the right to do it in this area. And probably one of the things we should be doing, if we're going to having tabled this, is that we ask the folks at West Central Initiative to step up and provide that service because they really are the ones who are supposed to be doing it. Because the other thing I've looked at, the RDCs are carefully defined in state law, and what they can and can't do is also carefully defined there. And it doesn't say anything about them providing service to cities or subdivisions outside of their region. And the Upper Minnesota Valley RDC is Region 6B, we're Region 4, so they really have no authority to do anything here under the state law that defines the RDC. So I'm not sure why they would write a plan for us, because they're not the ones who are supposed to be doing it. And in any case, whoever writes our plan, it needs to be approved by both the county and by West Central Initiative, or at least they need to look at it and comment on it. That's what's required in the state law. So I just wanted to bring that up. And my overall concern about the comprehensive plan is that it defines what development is going on. It defines a lot of things about energy that we've been talking about, alternative energy and things like that. It defines what kinds of things we're doing with traffic. It also defines things like the look of our buildings. If we're going to have to talk about a look for our public buildings, that should be defined in the comprehensive plan. So it is very important that we get all of those things properly taken care of in the plan. And I think that will require a lot of work in the city. I question whether an outside entity coming in is going to get the kind of public engagement that's necessary to make that a Morris plan, as opposed to a boilerplate that comes from somebody else who doesn't quite know what the conditions are here. So I appreciate it. Just wanted to let you know that's where I'm at with that, and I'd like to see that go forward, but I appreciate your having tabled it tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim, for coming up. Okay. Informational items. If there's no other people that want to address the council, we'll move on to informational items. Maybe, do we have, the only informational items that I was wondering if we had, Whitney, maybe you can speak to this, city manager search, do we have any updates? I mean, we haven't met as a board, you know.
Yeah, no updates that I know of. The window is open for applications through January 7th.
January 7th, okay. So just for those of you who are listening, January 7th.
And anyone that's interested, contacting DDA or the website or through the city, or
Yep.
I've
We
had,
have the link on our website, Facebook, and then DDA has it listed in various areas as well.
okay, just if anyone is interested, and anyone can apply. I mean, we have certain things that we're looking for as we're listing, and preferable skills or knowledge or history, but yeah, open to anyone is available to apply that is interested.
Great. All right, was there anything else to come before the council? Hearing none,